Santa's drunk again. You awake? Wake up.
Terabyte Daily Vlogs.
Alright, so the craziest thing just happened. Well, it's not really crazy, but it's just weird. Right now, Windows 8's installing, so we got everything working. We didn't need the 4-pin connector, unless it's just not going to boot up into Windows. But I'm pretty sure since it's booted up and Windows 8's installing, I'm pretty sure that's enough clue to know that we were right and we don't need the 4-pin connector. As I said before, the 4-pin connector was just for if you want to overclock the CPU and do extreme overclocking. We were about to blame it on that 4-pin connector, because we set everything up, we put everything in, and we were about to do our first cold boot. I pressed the button, nothing happened. It didn't feel right though. And I noticed that I didn't feel right because it didn't click and I pressed it. So at first we thought, oh, maybe we put the pins in wrong for the power thing on the motherboard. So we switched them around and like screwed with them and nothing was happening. So then we took the front of the case off and we noticed that the reset button is pointing out further than the power button. Because when you take the front of the case off, it's not a button anymore, it's just a little doohickey sticking out. And the button presses that doohickey in when the front of the case is on. So we immediately were like, oh wow, so that's why. Then I pressed the reset button and the computer turned on. We're like, what? That's because my dad, when we were messing with the pins, he accidentally put the reset button on the power button. So that confused us even more. But I eventually realized that he had it backwards. So I was like, oh, maybe it's just backwards in the motherboard. So we switched them and it wasn't turning on again. Then we're like, hold on a second. So I switched them back and I was like, so it is the thing that's sticking out. And we got tweezers and we pulled it and it eventually popped and it stuck. And then it was just as far as the reset button. We were afraid we were going to break it, but we just pulled it out slowly and it just snapped. So
Not
and then,
bad snap. Like
yeah,
it popped into place.
It popped into place, like when you like crack your back and you're like, ooh, kind of not really like that. You're not supposed to crack your back. It clicked, and that was a good click. So then we put it back on, and I was positive. I was like, it's definitely gonna work now. And it did. So I'm installing Windows 8, and that was just the weirdest thing. Like they gave us a case that had a button that was halfway pressed in, and it wouldn't press correctly. You could press it, but you had to use a pencil, like because it was inside the hole, you know.
He kept saying it was crooked. It's crooked.
Lexi killed Santa.
Lexi, did you kill Santa?
My wrist is killing me.
We tried plugging it in.
Yeah, I think it'll just come off though.
See the light.
Hey!
It's two lights. Is it coming back to life?
Air's not going in them.
It is. Slowly.
Very slowly. Don't these things usually blow up like really fast? I thought
It doesn't look like it's holding air to me.
No.
Where's the directions?
Okay.
There must be somewhere we gotta tighten up.
Yeah, these things usually go. Okay.
Well, you gotta zip this up first of all.
Thanks, DJ.
There you go. Jeez, his pants are unzipped.
Well, know when to stop?
I'm imagining.
It's gonna have a air holes somewhere where it just leaks air.
No, probably just.
It's gonna keep blowing. That's how they work. They just keep blowing. You remember how these things work? It's not gonna pop. Be pretty rough with Santa. Can he stand up? Does he stand on his own? He's eating too many cookies.
Oh, Gracie. Gracie, you're so cute.
Alright, so I just want to talk about yesterday's vlog, how to build a computer, is what it was called. So, a lot of people are doing the whole thing, like saying, oh, watching this made me cringe and stuff. It's calling us noobs and things like that. But they're not specifying why they're calling us a noob or why it made them cringe. They're just saying that. Why would you do that if you're not going to specify why it made you cringe? Like, we're here to show you how to build a computer. At least give us some constructive criticism, you know? It just kind of just like ruins the whole learning process. Because I mean, we don't do this very often. We're not computer builders. This is literally probably my 4th build ever, and I seriously don't think I did anything wrong, to be honest. I mean, I even replied to someone, I said, really? Then please tell me what you would have done differently. They didn't reply. However, there were some people that did give some constructive criticism. I will point those out before you reply, because I want you guys to tell me what you would have done differently. For those of you that said that made you cringe or called us a noob and blah blah blah, tell us in the comments below. I really want to know. But I'm going to point out 2 mistakes I did make, one of which Sabrina edited out, which I wasn't going to bring this up, but someone actually commented about it, and I wasn't going to bring it up because I didn't want to point out the mistake since Sabrina edited it out. But now that someone actually did point it out, I might as well tell you. Basically, when I took the CPU out of the case, I accidentally touched the top of the CPU and I put a little fingerprint on it, and literally like 5 seconds after I did that, I looked at it and I was like, oops, I didn't even realize I did that. I better wipe this off. And I got a clean cloth and I wiped it off, and it was perfectly clean, and I made sure it was completely clean before I put the thermal paste on, so there was no finger grease on it or anything like that. So I did that, but Sabrina edited that out. She doesn't like when I point out my errors, you know? So I guess she edited all that out. I'm not sure why, but she did. And it kind of made it look like I did it and didn't realize. But you could see right after that, it cuts, and I'm like, all of a sudden I'm like already doing something like in a different spot. It's because a whole bunch of stuff happened right there, and she edited it out. And the second thing is actually something that I admit to doing, but it was actually because, probably the same reason why I touched the CPU, because I was vlogging and I was trying to talk to the camera, and my mind is racing. So things are happening with my hands, and I kind of lose a little bit of control of what I'm doing with my hands, and I can't think straight. And this is something that I didn't believe this person at first when I read the comment, because I have serious OCD about making sure that the fans are blowing in the right directions, and I almost like never mess that kind of thing up. Because the side where the fan blows out is the side that has the little plastic X thing that on the front of it. The other side is where it's taking in, and the front has the plastic X, and that's where it's blowing out. And I always make sure that that is blowing in the right direction. And I messed up one fan. I had one fan going in the right direction, and then the second fan, the one on the bottom, I flipped. And XIN0710 pointed it out. And first he started out with saying that we seem more experienced with making computers now. He said, but unless you like negative airflow, you might want to switch that fan around. I was like, well, I didn't do that. And I opened it up, I was like, oh my god, I did. So that was just a brain fart there. But other than that, I feel like everything we did was pretty much standard. I mean, the computer works fine. It actually works beautifully. It's freaking fast. It's faster than my computer, and my computer is a 6-core, but I think it's because the solid-state drive's a lot faster than my solid-state drive. And it's screaming right now. So to say, oh yeah, you're a noob, I mean, the computer's working. There's a lot of people that can't even get a computer to freaking work with a bunch of parts and put them together. They wouldn't even know where to start. And it worked on the first try. Well, not really, because the button was pushed in, which wasn't our fault. That was Antec. With that said, leave in the comments below what you would have done differently if you really think so. And I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of people getting really, really picky, saying things like, oh, I wouldn't have put the RAM on the motherboard before I put it in, or I would have put the CPU on the motherboard before I put it in. That's just like personal stuff, you know? But next time, if you're going to leave a comment like that, put something in there that makes it a learning experience, you know? I never leave negative comments on people's videos, ever. But if I did, I would leave some sort of constructive criticism in there. I just thought I'd tell you guys that. Also, I want to specify really quick. A lot of people were saying, oh, he's got this nice motherboard and he's not going to be overclocking. We overclocked it a little bit, just not a lot. I said it wrong actually when I was talking about the 4-pin connector. The spot to plug in a 4-pin connector is actually recommended to use if you want to extreme overclock. You could overclock normally, but if you want to extreme overclock, I guess is what it said, then you need to use a 4-pin connector. But I mean, I don't want to risk this expensive hardware just to make it go a little tiny bit faster, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to extreme overclock. I'm just going to overclock it just a little bit, a little tweak, push it up, you know? Those crazy people that just wanted to like go really fast, they're just asking for problems, you know what I'm saying? If you're going to say that you would have spread the thermal paste on, well, in that case, what we did is actually smarter, because there is proof online. I said it in a comment yesterday, I forget what the article is, by like computer something, I don't know, some computer website made an article where they actually tested out all the different types of ways you could put thermal paste onto the CPU. They tested out like a tiny dot, a little bit bigger dot, a big dot. They tested the spreading lines, I guess, and they tested just putting a lot on. And spreading was actually one of the worst as far as temperatures. And they assume that that's because when you spread it, you're creating air pockets and stuff. And the dot, what happens is when you put the CPU fan on top of it, it squishes it down and it spreads it itself. And it spreads it where it's supposed to be, where the contacts are supposed to be. So it's putting the thermal paste where it needs to be. And it's not creating any air bubbles or air holes because it's not manually done, it's just squishing it in. So, I mean, I don't know how to explain that really, but it's just, you're not really creating any air holes when you do the little dot. And for whatever reason, they found that the least amount of thermal paste there is, the better temperatures they got in their tests. And that's also the recommended way of doing it in the instructions for our Noctua CPU cooler. In the instructions, it actually says to put a little tiny dot in the middle. That's all it says. And you would think if they wanted to sell more thermal paste, they would say, oh, put a bunch and spread it on, you know? But no, they said put a tiny, tiny dot in the middle. And it makes sense because their tests show that tiny dot has the best temperatures. So don't even argue with me on that one. Sabrina's working on, she's working on her thing still. What are you doing, Beeps?
It's not listening to me.
It's not listening to you. Well, I don't approve. I listen to you. Right, baby? By the way, I wasn't naked yesterday. I was in my boxers. I just woke up. That's how I sleep in. I sleep in my boxers. And I was rolling up, waking Sabrina up, rolling the thing up. And I was just dancing, you know? And I was in my boxers, and the creeper makes me look naked. I mean, you can tell I'm in my boxers, but I don't know. It's just, Sabrina really wanted to put it in there for some reason, and I let her do it. It's just kind of weird. Especially for the people that search how to build a computer and that pops up and they see me dancing around with a creeper in my boxers. That's gotta be weird for them. Do you think they're gonna stay and watch and learn how to make a computer, or do you think they're just gonna be like, F this, and then leave? I think they'll stay and watch. They'll probably just like sort of laugh. Or they'll say F this. 50-50 probably.
So I'm in a little dilemma here. I've been working on this interface because it's due for my Flash class. Well, it's called Fundamentals of Interactive Design. This interface is due on Wednesday and it is Saturday, and I'm like freaking out trying to get it finished. I have to make a video gallery, and of course I'm doing one of like all of our videos. Well, not all of them, just some of them. And I'm having a problem where, I'll just show you. So this is the main page right now. I mean, it's not done. But when I've got it to stop playing, see, I left the page. There's nothing on that. That's like just not done. When I leave the main page, the video stops playing because I found a code to make it stop playing. But if I put a video on another page, for instance, I did the vlog, and I go to another page, you still hear it. It's freaking out. And I don't know how to make that stop. Do you have any idea? I've tried doing the same code except for the name of the featured video in the vlogs section. I don't know, I've tried a lot of things and I don't even know how to begin explaining what I've tried. But if you have any easy idea, because I feel like this should be easy and I'm just like wasting time trying to figure something out that's super easy. If you have any ideas, please message me or leave in the comments below because I'm like freaking out over this.
You just got